I'm not sure if people listening have heard of the Shambhala warrior prophecy, but I encourage everybody to look it up. It's by Joanna Macy, and she's
Mm.
retelling 1,000-year-old, maybe even more than 1,000-year-old Buddhist Tibetan prophecy about the Shambhala warriors that are warriors that will emerge in a time when it seems like the fate of the world hangs on by just a frail thread, and that the powers of evil and darkness threaten to take over the world. And it seems like all has been lost. But all of a sudden, the Shambhala warriors emerge, and you recognize them not because they have a specific banner or flag or uniform or army, because you actually won't know them by seeing them. And their work is to enter into the places of power, the corridors of power where the decisions are made, and to dismantle the weapons of mass destruction, because they know that these weapons of mass destruction are not from the demonic realm or alien realm. They're actually from the man-made realm. They're man-made. They're made by the human mind, and so they can be dismantled by the human mind. And these warriors have to have two powers with them, two superpowers. The first is the power of discernment and understanding of the interconnectedness of all living beings. And then also the power of compassion to balance that out when that gets too cool. And I really resonate with this prophecy. I really resonate with being a Shambhala warrior and going in to dismantle these weapons of mass destruction. And for me, those weapons of mass destruction are the agrochemicals that have been released into the world, killing billions of people and taking countless lives without us even knowing that this war is being waged against us. And that really crystallized for me this year when I went home to see my mom and my grandma, and I put on for them the wonderful movie Seed, the Untold Story. And it talks about the effects of agrochemicals like DDT. And my mom was watching it for the first time. And for the first time, I saw her like really learn about how harmful this chemical is and how it was developed as a weapon of mass destruction in warfare that was later used to be sprayed on our food. And she said, DDT, that sounds familiar. And she said to my grandma, Mamita, you used to use DDT. I remember you used to have that for the animals. And my grandmother said, yes, they gave it to us to use on the animals to kill the lice. And then they also said that if our children had lice, it would work to rub it on their heads as well. And so that's what we did. And I had two aunties die of cancer. And it was just that moment where my mom and I, like, we didn't tell her, obviously, but when I Googled the effect of DDT on children, it said that children who are exposed to DDT before the years of 12 years old have a higher chance of dying of cancer. And that was the moment where it became just so personal. Like, you have no idea how remote my ancestral home is in Peru. Like, how did agrochemical companies end up there in the name of greed? And how did the government let them sell this weapon of mass destruction to poor, uneducated farmers and encourage them to rub them on the heads of their children as a remedy for lice? As if my family, who are the ancestors of the Incas, who created some of the most sophisticated agricultural systems in the world and built engineering wonders like Machu Picchu, didn't have their own remedies for lice. Just look at the Eurocentric values that have been forced on Indigenous people, and look at the consequences that it's had on our health, the health of our children, the health of our soil. And that's when I realized, like, oh, this is my weapon of mass destruction as a Shambhala warrior. I'm here to expose the agrochemical industries, the modern agricultural system for the genocidal monster that it has become. Not only committing genocide against peoples, especially peoples of color, but committing ecocide and harming the earth in what I hope is not an irreparable way. So this is my personal story. And this is why, as an actress, I'm really devoted to telling stories that bring this to life and bring home the human impact of these industries and the very personal and real impact that they have had on my life. And if you know anybody in your life listening that has died of cancer, I really encourage you to look into the environmental and toxic reasons that that cancer might have had a chance to manifest itself in your loved one's life.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So sorry to
I
hear
mean,
that.
ooh,